The fifth installment of the Evil Dead franchise is its most successful to date with the theatrical run, and it will be premiering soon on the Max streaming service as well. Let's talk about Evil Dead Rise. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new film Evil Dead Rise. This is still playing in theaters, but it will be coming soon to Max, which was formerly HBO Max. And I don't have an exact date for that yet, but supposedly sometime in June you'll be able to see this. But for now, it is still playing in theaters and doing boffo box office, as they say. It is the highest grossing film in the franchise, both domestic and worldwide, which is saying a lot because this franchise has been around a while. There have been many different iterations. So before I launch into the specifics about this movie, let me welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. We've got a ton of great movie and TV reviews for you to check out. And if you don't want to subscribe, which I would love if you do, but even just hitting the like button or commenting on this video does help people find my channel. So I do appreciate that as well. But please consider subscribing too, because that, of course, helps the channel. All right, so Evil Dead Rise, let's talk about this thing. But I guess before we do, let me tell you about my history with the franchise. So I believe Army of Darkness, which is the third movie in the franchise, is probably the first quote-unquote horror movie I ever saw in theaters. I guess it's a horror movie. It's certainly a horror comedy, if nothing else. I did also see the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie. That might have been a year before. But again, sort of in that comedy horror kind of vein. I was not allowed to watch this kind of stuff growing up. The first, really like horror movie I watched in a theater wasn't till, the mid-90s, I would say. And at sleepovers, I saw like The Lawnmower Man, and I saw Silent Night, Deadly Night, but really, I didn't see any of the biggies, Friday the 13th and Freddy Krueger, and I didn't watch any of those until pretty recently, actually. So I still have never seen the first or second Evil Dead. I did watch the reboot they did. I guess that's considered a reboot. I don't know. About 10 years ago, and I saw Army of Darkness. I don't really remember it very well, but I remember being confused by it because I didn't know what the hell I was watching. This is before, the internet existed, but it was before all of the, the stuff that we can find now on the internet. I didn't realize Army of Darkness was even part of some bigger thing. I really didn't. So I would have to watch it again. I'd be curious to see what I think about it now. But in any event, all of the, the major players involved in those films are still on board here. Sam Raimi is the executive producer, as is, of course, Bruce Campbell, who has been touring the country lately, showing the original Evil Dead and then doing like a Q&A kind of thing afterwards, which is fun. But other than sort of their behind-the-camera work, this is a whole new cast. It's all new characters, but it is still the same kind of theme here. Working against the Deadites and all that kind of stuff. So in this particular one, you have Lily Sullivan and Alyssa Sutherland, who are two estranged sisters trying to survive and save their family from the Deadites. And there's 3 little kids involved as well. And we do actually hear there's a little Bruce Campbell cameo on a record that is being played. So there is like a little Easter egg there with him. But other than that, this is really sort of a new kind of story. Much like, if I remember correctly, the one about 10 years ago was too. I don't think there was any direct connection with the original there. But look, these movies are super gory. This is the point that they're always trying to make with these movies. And originally this was going to be an HBO Max original, but Warner Brothers was getting really good test scores from the audiences and thought, you know what, let's stop cannibalizing ourselves on the streaming stuff. Let's put this into theaters. And obviously the proof is in the pudding because it is the most profitable one that they've made. It's made a lot of money and still going. I think it was still in the top 5 last week in theaters. So before they drop it on the streaming service, they'll probably leave it in for a few weeks longer at the theaters. But these kind of movies are really, really, gross out fests for me. These are movies where I have to, like, shield my eyes for, not a lot of it, but definitely many times throughout the movie. There's a lot of elaborate deaths here. and very, very visceral ones for sure. I would not say that the acting here is, anything remarkable. It's fine and it's serviceable. And certainly a movie like this does not need some, Oscar talent actors. They're just having fun with it. But I was a little surprised, I guess, just because I feel like Army of Darkness was such a comedy horror, and that's what I most associate with the franchise, even though that's probably not true. This was not funny at all. Like, this is very, very straight-ahead horror, and in a classic sense. The practical effects were great. I did not think there was a lot of special effects here, which is, good. It's kind of the Sam Raimi way, right? So a lot of practical effects. And one thing I loved about this movie, and I will say the director here, this is his first kind of major motion picture. Lee Cronin is his name, and he did, an independent horror movie a few years ago that I had never heard of when I looked him up here. But this is his first, big movie. But I will hand it to him. A lot of this movie takes place in a dimly lit apartment. There's like a blackout that happens, partially because of this earthquake, but I could see everything that was happening. Some of the things I didn't want to necessarily see, but one of my biggest gripes, if you're a frequent viewer of my channel, you know this, is all of these movies that film these, night scenes or forest scenes or whatever, and I can't see a thing. It's just a black lens, basically. I can't see what's going on. Here, they did let us in on that, and I was able to see everything, even the things I did not care to see, but I have to give them credit for that. Yeah, they had, a couple of ways of getting around that with, lighting candles and stuff, but certainly it was more light. I think we saw more as the audience than perhaps the people in the movie even saw. Because they were in a blackout. But I respect that. I like that I'm able to see things. But yeah, this is, I think, a very good addition to the rest of the films. If I remember correctly, I gave the fourth one a B or somewhere in that range, maybe a B+. And this one, I think, lies squarely right in that realm. One thing I didn't really care for, and I'm not going to spoil the ending, but there's like a wraparound. The opening scene is, crazy. There's a lot of gore there going on, but then we don't see those characters again at all the rest of the movie. And then the tag at the end of the movie sort of brings it back around. A little bit of a cheat, I thought. But that's kind of the template for this type of movie. So, I can't really give it too grade that as too harsh of a negative, but I give Evil Dead Rise a B+. Not for the faint of heart, for sure, and I'll probably never watch it again, but I think a B+ is where this movie stands. Certainly at least as good as the last one they made, if not probably a little bit better. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you back here next time on Dan Reviews It for another TV or movie review. Bye.